So I recently got a question from a viewer, and she asked, "My job is very physical and the people are bad communicators. The pay sucks too. How do I change this?" People look down on this position, and to me that's sad because I'm taking care of the elderly. And this is such a great question, and I think so many people can relate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer this question, and my answer will really apply to anyone that's struggling in their job or just feeling kind of like they hate their job, or that maybe they just would like their job again. So I'm going to answer it, but in a way that only focuses on you and what you can do to love your job again. Meaning that we aren't going to talk about influencing management, we're not going to talk about quitting, and we're only going to focus on the variable of yourself and what you can control. So I'm doing this because I don't want to assume that everybody can quit their job, and I think that sometimes isn't helpful advice for those that can't. And my answer will apply really to any job. You can work in healthcare, tech, education, really anything. And I really encourage you to watch to the very end because I really think that my last tip is the best one, but feel free to forward if you'd like to. But before we get started, let's hit the subscribe and like button because that way other people who are having a hard time in their jobs can really watch this video and get help as well. Okay, so from this question, the first clue that stood out for me is that the question asker said, people look down on this position and it's sad. So you don't really need a psychology degree to understand that if you feel people don't respect your contribution, then you will feel more negative about your job. What I would question though, is that really the opinion of people in general, or is it also your opinion? Because if you truly didn't believe this perception that people look down on your position, then it would not affect you. So in reality, the issue is not that people look down on your job, it's that you believe them. If you didn't believe their opinions, then this wouldn't really make you feel sad. For example, we know people believe in all kinds of crazy things, like the earth is flat, and those people we dismiss without a second thought because we have evidence that the earth is not flat. And this is the key to feeling better in this scenario as well. It is crucial to look for evidence that your job matters. As our brains have a natural negativity bias, which I often mention in my other videos, so you can learn about that more in those, it's really easy for us to believe the bad things and find evidence for them. The hard work is to shift this bias and find evidence for why your job does matter. And I bet anyone watching this video could think of 10 reasons right off the bat why your job matters, especially those viewers that are not in healthcare. To them, it seems obvious, but it's always easier to see another situation clearly, while for ourselves, we tend to be very biased. This brings me to the main point. Our jobs are what we make them mean. So a psychologist actually did a study on this, and her name is Amy Renznowski. She's at Yale University, and she found that even janitors can derive meaning from their work, and that job satisfaction was highly reliant on meaning. So in this study, the researchers found that certain groups of janitors viewed their job just as a series of tasks, while others conceptualized the job as a form of patient care. And they thought that they were helping sick people in hospitals that they worked at to recover because they were providing them a clean environment. In this latter group, that they thought that they were helping take care of sick people, they were significantly more satisfied in their jobs. And I know that hearing examples like this can be really frustrating when you're unhappy at work. You just want someone to validate that your job does suck. And I would like to offer you that your job might objectively suck, but we don't care about that right now necessarily, because what we care about is making you feel better right now. And we care about helping you create the mental and emotional state that will allow you to be happier and more resilient, which will then possibly lead you to having more energy and more self-efficacy to change your job situation. Because sadness is an emotion that is actually depressing, meaning that it makes you have less energy, it depresses your body. It makes you want to retreat and accept the bad things in your life. And in order to create a better life, we need you to feel more emotions that are energizing and help you step into action. This is why it's so important to do the thought work around your job. It will show you that you have the ability to create change even if it's just in your own mind. So what I encourage you to do is to start out by listing out ways your job helps people. Try to go for maybe 10 reasons. In the case of a nurse's assistant, those are probably many. So put the list where you can see it every day and really start practicing putting your mind back into why your job is so meaningful when it starts drifting into the negative thoughts about your job and the thinking that others don't respect your job. You have more control in every situation than you may think. So I want to offer you also here an equation, and you all know how much I love equations. And so we have this famous equation in psychology that says suffering equals pain plus resistance. And this is commonly used to show so much of our pain is not simply just the pain of a negative situation or a negative emotion, but also our resistance to that pain. This is another way that we can feel better simply by focusing on our own experience and not changing the external circumstances around it. So most of us have a tendency to pull away from anything painful. This is just human instinct, just like touching a hot stove. But oftentimes this leads to resistance and having a residual pain that never heals. The biggest way I see people creating pain for themselves in their lives and in their jobs is that they often think in shoulds, meaning that they think that they shouldn't feel a certain way, that they should love their job all the time, they shouldn't be so tired, and other people are out there living their lives just loving their jobs like 100% of the time. In this resistance to everyday pains that everybody experiences in life, we create greater suffering. And it is okay to not like your job. It is okay to be sad about other people not respecting your contribution. And of course you should be sad. And although it may not seem like it, everyone experiences these emotions. Everyone feels unappreciated and discouraged at some point. We all have the same human experience that includes suffering. When we think that the grass must be greener for someone else, we don't allow ourselves to grieve for our own experience. And it makes us feel like our lives are wrong and that we are wrong. Going through a hard time does not mean you are doing anything wrong. Having self-compassion for your experience will allow you to diminish some of this resistance you are feeling and then diminish some of the pain you have. So I would recommend trying out maybe some self-compassion exercises. I like anything from Kristen Neff, and she has countless videos on her site in which she guides you through these exercises, and I'll go ahead and link them below. Lastly, I want to leave you with one final tool to like your job again. Most of the time what we do is we ask ourselves the wrong question. For instance, people who don't like their jobs often go around thinking, why don't I like my job? The thing is that this question reinforces the dislike of your job and makes you stuck. There is no way out with a question like this. You are literally 100% guaranteed to dislike your job. We need to start asking ourselves better questions. In our case, maybe something like, what would meaningful work look like? Or how is my job helping me right now? These questions will help you look for solutions rather than problems and move you toward either creating a job that you would like being in or being resilient enough to find a job that could potentially fill this need. And I hope this helps you feel better right now so that you can show yourself that you can do the hard things and create the change you need in your life. Because I'm guessing you know what changes need to be made. You just need to believe that you can make them happen. So I wish you best of luck, and I hope this video was helpful. And I hope this video was helpful to anyone struggling in their career journey right now. I actually have a newsletter called Monday Motivation that I send out every Monday that could potentially be helpful in kind of helping you start that week with a better mindset. So if you're interested in subscribing to that, it's totally free. It comes out every Monday, and I'll link it below. You just go to my website. The subscription form is right there. And I will see you all next week. If you too would like to submit a question, go ahead, DM me on Instagram or just post it in the comments below. All my info is on my website, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.